Today, we're diving into something really interesting, how a project management system born in the fast-paced world of software development is starting to completely shake up the construction industry. We're talking about fixing those chronic delays and budget blowouts we all know too well.
I mean, you've probably asked yourself this question, right? Sitting in traffic, staring at a construction site that seems like it's been there forever. It's a huge source of frustration for everyone. But what if the problem isn't the work itself, but the very way we've been taught to manage that work?
And this quote from our source material absolutely hits the nail on the head. The world around us, materials, client needs, everything, is changing constantly. But the playbook for construction projects, it's been pretty much stuck in the past. It's a model that's just not built for the complexities of today.
So here's how we're going to break this all down today. First, we'll talk about the big challenge that the old model just can't handle. Then we'll introduce the tool designed to fix it, Scrum. After that, we'll look at how it performed on a real job site, weigh the pros and cons, and we'll end with some concrete next steps if you're curious to learn more.
Okay, first things first, let's really get into why that traditional model is broken. See, the biggest enemy of any construction project is the unexpected. And for decades, the approach was to try and create a plan so perfect, so detailed, that the unexpected just couldn't happen. A nice idea, but not very realistic.
And this slide really lays out the two competing philosophies. On one side, you've got the classic waterfall method. You spend months, maybe even years, creating this massive, step-by-step plan, and the goal is to follow it to the letter. But the big problem? The world doesn't stand still. By the time you actually break ground, that perfect plan can be completely out of date. On the other side, you have the agile method, which is a total 180. It doesn't fight change, it expects it. It sees risks not as problems, but as potential opportunities to make the project even better.
So if Agile is the big picture mindset, what's the actual tool that makes it all happen? Well, that brings us to the most popular Agile framework out there, Scrum.
Now, the key thing to understand is that Scrum isn't a super rigid step-by-step instruction manual. It's more of a framework, a set of tools and rules that gives your team the flexibility to tackle really complex problems. The name actually comes from rugby, and it's all about a team working together super closely to move the ball down the field.
And you can really boil Scrum down to three simple pillars. You've got the roles, that's the who. Who's on the team and what's their responsibility? Then you have the artifacts, which are the tools they use to get the work done. And finally, the events, which are basically the meetings that give the whole process its rhythm and structure. Let's quickly meet the team. The product owner is essentially the voice of the customer. Their job is to make sure that what's being built is exactly what the client needs and provides the most value. The development team is the group of experts, the architects, the engineers who are actually doing the hands-on work. And then you have the Scrum Master. Think of them as a coach. They're not the boss, but they make sure the team is playing by the rules of Scrum, and, most importantly, they clear any roadblocks that get in the team's way.
So, here's how the work actually flows. It all starts with a product backlog. Think of it as the ultimate to-do list for the entire project. From that list, the team pulls a small chunk of work they believe they can finish in a short period called a sprint. Every single day during that sprint, they have a quick 15-minute huddle to sync up. At the end of the sprint, they review the actual work they finished, and then, this is key, they have a meeting to talk about how they can work better together in the next sprint. It's this constant cycle of plan, do, check, and adapt.
All right, that's the theory. Sounds pretty good on paper, right? But does the system designed for coding and software actually hold up in the world of concrete, steel, and blueprints? Well, let's take a look at the case study.
So the proving ground was the design phase of a pretty good-sized apartment building project in Switzerland. For 8 weeks, the team, we're talking architects, engineers, the whole crew, used Scrum to manage the incredibly complex process of getting that project ready for a building permit. And to make sure everyone knew exactly what was going on at all times, they used two simple but powerful tools. On one side, you see a virtual board using an app called Trello. This was crucial because not everyone was in the same office. And on the other side, you've got the good old-fashioned sticky note board. Both did the same job, making a workflow visible to everybody. No secrets, no guessing, just total transparency.
And right away, we see a perfect example of what makes this approach so different. They started out with 1-week sprints. But pretty quickly, they realized that just wasn't enough time to get real, meaningful design work done. So what did they do? They didn't just stick to the plan because it was the plan. They adapted. They recognized a problem, talked about it, and switched to 2-week sprints, which worked way better.
So after 8 weeks of this experiment, what was the final verdict? Did this software thing actually help them design a building better? Let's get into the results.
The good, the bad, and the age-old.
This chart tells such a cool story. It tracks how well the team's daily 15-minute meetings went. When they started, you can see the ratings were not great. But look at that trend line. It just climbs and climbs. What this really shows is that the team was learning how to communicate. They were getting better and better at solving problems together every single day. You can literally see their team chemistry improving over time.
But okay, what did the people on the team actually think about all this? This chart is really telling. It shows that even though they didn't know the technical rules of Scrum perfectly at the beginning, they immediately understood why it was necessary and relevant to their work. But here's the kicker. After just 5 weeks, every single person on the team said they wanted to keep using Scrum instead of going back to the old way. That is a massive endorsement.
So let's just lay it all out, the pros and cons they found. On the plus side, the advantages were huge. Way more transparency, much better communication, and a faster overall process. The downsides were really just growing pains. Nobody knew Scrum that well at the start. They had to get used to not having one single boss telling everyone what to do, and all the meetings and voting just took some getting used to. Which brings us to our last section. Based on everything we've seen in this study, what's the playbook? If you wanted to try Scrum on a construction project, where would you even begin? Here are the biggest takeaways, whether you're studying this for a quiz or actually thinking about trying it on a project. First, do your homework. Make sure everyone understands the basics before you start. Second, get everybody involved right from day one. Third, really take the time to build a good, clear to-do list, that product backlog. Fourth, commit to the process. Show up to the meetings. And finally, and maybe most importantly, you have to embrace that agile spirit. Don't try to plan everything perfectly. Just get started and be ready to adapt as you go.
What this research really shows is that Scrum can be a powerful blueprint for building not just better buildings, but better, more collaborative teams. And hey, if this has got you thinking about how to apply this stuff to your own work, the people behind the study provided this contact information. The real question isn't just, can Scrum work in construction? It's, in a world that changes this fast, can the industry really afford not to try something new?